the Grapple Hammer. Hands down, one of my favorite weapons in the game for its flashy combo potential and the fact that you can hit someone 2 times and probably kill them. No matter who you are and what weapon you main. Bro, Costlix, you need to go outside. Chances are, you've probably seen a hammer player do something and thought it was the coolest thing ever. So, you went into training thinking you could replicate what that player just did and be able to do it in a few tries. Only for 40 minutes to pass, and there you are sitting there without having done the combo once. And by that time, you've probably said, "Fuck it," and given up on hammer entirely. And I can't say I blame you, because the truth is, hammer is hard. Almost every string that hammer has enough inputs to make Mortal Kombat's combos look easy. I spent 2 hours trying to do this. It is widely known that the Grapple Hammer is considered by most of the community to be one of the hardest weapons to master, right there alongside Greatsword and Scythe. To most of you, this may be hard to believe, not only because recovery exists, but because the Grapple Hammer is a heavy weapon. And the heavy weapons of Valhalla are usually, unfair. Brawlhalla's heavy weapons are unfair. For example, Axe is a popular heavy weapon for allowing players to win games by simply spinning in circles, which in most cases can outright kill someone if you get a lucky hit at the right angle. It is a weapon with decent attack speed and wide sweeping hitboxes that cover in the air and behind the player. Combine these traits with its high damage output and insane stage control, and you have a weapon that is equally dangerous as it is annoying to go against. Lance and Cannon are both notorious for having the highest horizontal mobility out of any weapon in the game. And they're heavy weapons. No other weapon has this much movement. They're able to ride you off the side of the stage in mere seconds and deal more than enough damage to you so that even if you dodge out, you may still be susceptible to dying in one hit anyway. And Greatsword is supposed to be a heavy weapon? Yeah, okay. So the other heavy weapons are great. But what about hammer? What can it do? Well, not much. And that's exactly the problem. Heavy weapon or not, hammer in general is a very lackluster and underwhelming weapon with a few redeeming qualities. Its abysmal range and extremely slow speed compared to other heavy weapons is usually what places it firmly at the bottom of most players' tier list. It lacks the stage control and damage output that is expected from a heavy weapon, and thus it has barely any favorable matchups and gets destroyed quite often. It is an extremely hard weapon to master, with a learning curve that spikes harder than a Suri's Insig, and it gets even worse in higher elos where everyone is playing weapons that are infinitely faster than yours, not to mention better, making it seem near impossible to get anything started. Putting a weapon like this in a beginner's hands is an easy way to make them believe that hammer just sucks. And since most pros don't play this weapon, and most guides aren't thorough enough, most players would consider this weapon not worth their time, and would rather go play something gay, like Katara. But it doesn't have to be this way. As a hammer player who has hit Diamond 18 times in a row with primarily hammer legends, specifically Core, and roughly 6 years of experience on Brawlhalla alone, I would be more than happy to teach you not only to understand and execute the various combos and strings of the Grapple Hammer, but to master them, so that one day you might just be able to hit Diamond using them, or even better, Valhallan. I have created this guide to show you that the Grapple Hammer is not as bad as people make it out to be. And usually the hate comes from people who are inexperienced with it and refuse to accept that the hammer can be just as threatening of a weapon as any other. And with the right guidance and patience, the Grapple Hammer could very well be your next best weapon. So hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another video. It's your boy Expressum. And today I will be teaching you how to play one of Brawlhalla's most underrated, most underutilized, and likely its most challenging weapon to master, the Grapple Hammer. This guide will be separated into 4 parts, each of which you can fast forward to depending on your knowledge of the weapon. The timestamps will be in the description. In part 1, we will go over every move in Hammer's kit, what purpose these moves serve, and what situations are best to use these moves in. In part 2, I will be showing you every basic true combo that Hammer is capable of and how to do them step by step. And please note how I said basic true combos. That does not mean every true combo. In part 3, I will be going over most of Hammer's advanced strings, such as the ones that look something like this. As a bonus, I will also show you how to execute the Russian Mafia, the V, and even the Fangwild step by step. And finally, in part 4, I will be going over the best Hammer legends to use depending on your skill range. I will be ranking them from easiest to hardest, and I will give you tips on how you should play these legends, what they are good and bad at, and why I place them in the rank that they are in. I hope this guide will allow you to see just how devastating the Grapple Hammer is in the right hands, and that one day, with the help of this guide, you may become the next Hammer Goat like Kana or Swada. I know this intro was long, but I hope it was enjoyable nonetheless. And if you want more guides like this one on different weapons or legends, be sure to let me know in the comments below. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and without further ado, let the guide begin. No matter what weapon you are attempting to learn, if you are trying to master it, it is common knowledge that you should always begin by understanding its moveset. However, surprisingly, most players would choose a weapon to play without ever looking at its moveset once, basically hindering themselves when they go online and then blaming the weapon for sucking when they lose despite not even knowing what each move does. So in this segment, I will be showing and explaining to you the Grapple Hammer's moveset and its advantages and disadvantages so that you will understand your options and what they are used for. Starting with... Sidelight is a straightforward attack that launches your character a small distance forward with the hammer placed in front of you, with the hitbox essentially acting as a wall. When this move connects, it launches the opponent a small distance in front of you. The distance they are launched depends on the damage value they are currently at. However, no matter the damage value, this move can never kill off raw force. While this move is fairly slow, it serves as Hammer's best approach tool on the ground because it is the only ranged grounded move that Hammer possesses. When combined with the dash, its bird speed potential is enough to catch most players off guard with its surprisingly long range. Also, despite not being a stacked move, it can hit extremely close to your character, and can even catch most players out of the air if you time the move correctly. This move even makes edgeguarding an opponent extremely safe, because your hurt box is far behind the hitbox of the sidelight, meaning you can apply pressure without putting yourself in too much danger. All in all, sidelight is your go-to move when you wish to approach someone from a distance in neutral. Even if the move misses, its recovery frames are forgiving enough to allow you to dodge rather quickly afterwards. Keep in mind though, sidelight is not designed to be a combo starter, but a poke tool that can build huge damage if chained on a restless player. And fun fact, if you stand at max range and hit this move, you will do less damage, which is a bit strange to me, to be honest. The neutral light, or in light, is a short-range flurry of kicks that, when initiated, moves your character forward slightly, with the hitbox for it being directly in front of your character. When this move connects, the two kicks in with your character slamming the hammer on the ground, sending the enemy opponent in front and slightly above you. Depending on the damage value, this move sends a lot higher than it does forward, and is the only grounded move on Hammer that can kill an opponent if they are at a high enough damage value. The neutral light is the first of the Grapple Hammer's two stacked moves, meaning this move can hit if a player is standing directly on top of you, offering a perfect opportunity in situations where you need to get an aggressive player off of you without jumping or sigging, since doing either option is much slower and riskier than just inlighting. Keep in mind though, because of Inlight's high dedication on miss and its excessive amount of active frames and no real range off of dash, it's a little unsafe, and missing it almost always means you will get punished. So, my advice is to never use it as an approach tool, but more as a punish tool. So only if someone spot dodges or whips a move fairly close to you should you ever think about inlighting them. The best way to think of inlight is as a get off me tool, which is a move that is designed to keep an aggressive player at bay by constantly pushing them away if they get too close. Just don't use it too aggressively, as better players will always be able to just go above or around you should you miss it. Downlight or D-Light, or also known only on Hammer as the Stomp, is an extremely short-ranged move in which your character stomps the ground with a hitbox that is slightly in front of you. Hitting an opponent causes them to be launched upwards. The height of this launch depends on their health value, but this move cannot kill no matter what the health value is. I consider Downlight to be Hammer's best grounded move based on flexibility alone. While it may not look like much, Downlight opens up a vast amount of opportunities for true combos and strings that can take your opponent from white to orange in an instant. And since Downlight is the fastest move in Hammer's kit, it can be used aggressively despite its lackluster range, meaning you could still dodge and punish 90% of the time even if you miss this move. Despite the hitbox being on the ground, D-Light can even hit at a surprising distance in front of you and can actually, just barely, catch players out of the air, as well as denying various weapons approach attempts, causing you to be in control in an instant. Not to mention, this move can also be used on the ledge to catch unsuspecting players who waver too close to the edge of the stage, putting them in perfect position for a sidelight or even a Sair. Did I mention that this move is stacked? Well, it is. The side air, or Sair, is an aerial move that causes your character to swing the hammer a decent distance in front of you. When the move lands, your opponent is launched in a straight line that arcs downward over time. Because of its high force and damage, Sair is, obviously, another move that can kill if the damage value is high enough. This move is as simple as it sounds. An enemy opponent is in front of you and you're in the air, you Sair. Easy peasy. Sair is one of Hammer's more powerful moves and also amongst its longer range ones. Being a decent all-rounder attack with a high amount of force, Sair is your go-to if you want to kill your opponent quickly and with very little hassle. Or, you can use it as an approach tool that forces most players out of the air because of its dominant range and power over most weapons. At lower damage values, the Sair can even be chained into strings that can build a lot more damage at early stages in the game, especially with higher dex legends like Cassidy and Yumiko. Also, because this weapon can arc downward at a distance, it can even place your opponent in a position to be gimped via weapon throw or ground pound if they don't die immediately from the Sair alone. Don't get reckless though, as Sair is on the slower side and being punished is still very much possible if you miss. So use effectively, but sparingly. The neutral air, or Nair, is an aerial attack that causes your character to swing the hammer a fair distance above themselves. When this move connects, the opponent is launched in a straight or angled line above you, depending on where you hit the move. The distance the opponent is launched depends on the damage value, and this move can kill if the damage value is high enough. Neutral air is without a doubt Hammer's best move, period. Okay. It is one of Hammer's quickest and longest range moves that cover a large distance above and even slightly in front and behind you. It is also capable of hitting stacked when the opponent is grounded. Because the hitbox is above you, you can punish floaty players with little worry and even negate an edgeguard attempt because of just how wide the hitbox is. Not to mention the fact that in-lag on this move doesn't really exist. You can just spam Nair at rapid speed to juggle an opponent in the air. And because Nair hits so hard, depending on the map, you can expect to kill them at orange, effectively erasing someone's mental. If used correctly, Nair is Hammer's safest and most powerful move. So using it as a low-risk kill option or a lazy way to build damage against players who jump too much is optimal in most cases. Down air, or Dare, is an aerial attack that causes your character to swing the hammer directly below themselves. When this move connects, it launches the opponent straight above you. Because this move has high force, it can kill depending on the damage value the opponent is at. While Hammer's down air may not seem like much to fresh eyes, it actually has a few gimmicks and strengths that make it a reliable move in most scenarios. First off, down air on most weapons is often not a reliable kill option on the stage. Most other weapons will require you to be off stage to kill without the opponent being at a damage value of 200 or more. Hammer is the only weapon where its Dare does not share this weakness, and can kill on and off stage if the damage value is around 160, which pretty much every other weapon cannot do. Secondly, Hammer Dare is a reversal move, meaning you can switch places with an opponent if you hit the move, usually giving you the advantage. Though some of you may look at this move and think, Well, how does launching the enemy above me give me an advantage? It depends on how you use it. You can pivot there when the opponent is on the wall to force them above you in perfect nair position, or you can even use it at the top of the stage against a player who is trying to kill you off the ceiling for an easy stock. Try to use this move as sparingly and as carefully as possible, because using it off stage and missing is pretty much instant death since you don't slow down when the attack animation is active, and it's on the slower side of Hammer's kick. So getting punished is still very much possible. Recovery is a heavy aerial attack that launches your character upwards a short distance upon initiating it, placing the hammer hitbox above you for a short time. When this move connects, it launches the enemy player below you, and it can kill off raw force, but usually the damage value doesn't really matter in Recovery's case. Hammer Recovery is without a doubt one of the scariest moves in the game to be hit with, because it can erase a fresh stock in an instant if a player thinks it's a good idea to go off stage with Hammer. This move used defensively is amongst the worst recoveries in the game because of its low recovery range and speed. However, offensively, this move is as annoying as it is broken. Having the ability to instantly put your opponent below you at the click of a button in range of a ground pound or a weapon throw is extremely powerful early and late game. Hammer Recovery has the power to make any player second guess going off stage with you, which in most cases gives you free reign to make it back to the wall without being contested. If they do decide to take their chances off stage with you, there's a 50-50 chance that they will get grabbed and die immediately, or get a hit in and then get grabbed and die immediately. But you may be thinking, is Hammer Recovery good on stage? Well, obviously it's not as effective as it is off stage, but much like Hammer Sair, it can be used as an extremely powerful string starter that can build a bunch of damage and force players out of the air to fight you on the ground. Here's a pro tip. When you use Hammer Recovery off stage, be sure to always do it facing in the opposite direction you are traveling. That places the hitbox more in front of you instead of behind you, therefore catching players who attempt to edgeguard you. Ground Pound is a move in which you... Are you serious? Okay. I'm not going to tell you how to use a ground pound. Like, if you've played Brawlhalla, there's a strong chance you know what a ground pound is and what it does. I'm not going to waste my time on that. We're going to move to the next segment. A true combo is a combo on a weapon that cannot be dodged out of, meaning the damage is guaranteed as long as you hit the combo with correct timing and in the correct damage range. The combos listed and shown in this segment will be your bread and butter true combos for the Grapple Hammer. I will show you how to execute these combos consistently and effectively so that you may be able to do them without issue given time. For this segment, I will not be talking. I will only show you how to do the combo. The inputs for each combo will be shown here at the bottom of the screen, and the criteria to do each combo will be shown at the top. After the combo plays once, I will play it again, but slow, so that you may see and replicate the timing. You may be wondering why I will not be showing every true combo for Hammer. That is because I consider some true combos to be too advanced for beginners, such as the Russian Mafia and the V, and thus I will not be showing and teaching them in this segment, but instead the very next one. Are you ready? Let's begin. And that's it. I hope you were able to do most or all of these combos without much issue. If you have, then you're one step closer to being a true hammer man, and I'm proud of you. If you're still stuck on accomplishing these combos, don't be afraid to rewind as many times as you need to get it right. Please take your time to learn and master these combos before you move on to the next part, as it's only going to get harder from here. The advanced combos, where things actually start getting difficult and it starts to become clear to some people that Hammer is not as easy as it looks. In this segment, I will show you a few of Hammer's hardest strings. Much like the previous segment, I will demonstrate the combo first and then put it in slow motion afterwards. The inputs for the combos will be located at the bottom of the screen. However, when the slow motion part comes, I will be talking and walking you through the string so that you can ensure you are doing everything correctly. But before I teach you the advanced strings, there are two movement techs that are essential to know before you even attempt these strings, and they are the pivot and the grounded aerial attack. I will show you how to do these first and then the advanced combos after. If you already know how to do these, then skip to the timestamp here. Are you ready? Let's begin with the pivot. A pivot in Brawlhalla is a movement technique that allows you to quickly change the direction your character is moving in by initiating an attack. Most weapons, like blasters, gauntlets, cannon, and hammer, can all pivot once you execute a specific move and then quickly change directions. And here's how you do it. First, ensure that there is a decent amount of space in front of you to be able to dash forward. Then dash forward and jump. Once you're in the air, continue to move forward but execute a nair. As soon as you put in the input for a nair, move in the opposite direction you were traveling. And your character should look as if they are bouncing off of nothing to quickly move in the opposite direction. Congratulations! You just executed a pivot.
Yes, sir.
But now you may be thinking, is every weapon capable of pivoting? No. Only a select few weapons have moves that can be pivoted. And some weapons require a specific scenario in order to be pivoted. For example, the blaster nair and dare can be pivoted and requires no special scenario to be executed. However, any other blaster move cannot be pivoted, whether you hit it or not. Gauntlets has a strange case where its nair can be pivoted, but only after you hit the nair on an opponent, not before. Now that you know how to do that, I'm gonna show you how to do grounded aerial attacks now. Brace yourself because this is hard. A grounded aerial attack is an aerial attack that's done without leaving the ground. Well, technically you leave the ground, but you're so close to the ground that it looks like you barely left. Grounded aerials is perfect for doing combos and strings without losing any forward momentum by jumping. Some of the most popular examples of effective grounded aerials are grounded nair on gauntlets and the grounded recovery on hammer. Here's how you do it. First, ensure you are grounded, as the only way you can execute a grounded aerial properly is by being grounded. Next, hit your opponent with any move. In this example, I will use hammer downlight. After your attack animation is finished, you jump straight up and chase dodge forward immediately after jumping. Once you are beneath your opponent, you do a recovery. And that's it. You just did an aerial grounded move. If you didn't get it the first time, or even the first few times, do not trip. This input is extremely hard to do, and I wouldn't even be surprised if it was frame perfect. It takes some time and practice to master, but it is 100% worth learning once you figure it out. Okay, now on to the advanced strings. So the first combo I'll show you on this list, out of 9 by the way, is also the easiest combo in this segment. And once you look at it, you'll think I'm crazy, but I've never been more serious in my life. If it looks like too much from the beginning, don't worry. Just skip straight to the slow motion part and I will explain step by step exactly what I did, and I will do that for the rest of the combos on this list. You ready to see the first combo? Here it is. Didn't look too bad, right? Well, here's how I did it. First, you start off the combo by sairing. After the sair connects, you move forward on the ground with the opponent and do a downlight once you're in range. Then, dash jump behind the opponent and gravity cancel downlight. Then, without jumping, do a recovery facing the opposite direction while the opponent is still stunned. Then, immediately fast fall beneath the opponent and nair them back into the air. While they're airborne, jump and recover them back to the ground, and then chase dodge straight down and sair them. Congratulations if you did that on the first try. Now on to the next combo. For this combo, like the first, you start off with a Sair and follow the opponent forward and then downlight once you're in range. Then, while they're airborne, you weapon throw diagonally up, not straight up, to them while they're falling. Then, before they land, catch them with an unarmed downlight, jump straight up, catch your weapon, and then gravity cancel downlight with hammer. After the downlight, recover facing in the opposite direction, then chase dodge straight down and nair the opponent. That's 2 out of 9. Let's keep going. For this combo, you start off by downlighting and then immediately sidelighting after, which is a true combo. Next, execute a grounded aerial by jumping, chase dodging forward, and then nairing facing the opposite direction. While the opponent is airborne, you jump and Sair them. Then, follow the opponent for a short distance and then throw your weapon diagonally down to catch them when they land. Next, dash up to them and downlight with unarmed, jump, catch your weapon, and then gravity cancel downlight with hammer. Then, without jumping, recover facing in the opposite direction, chase dodge straight down, and then nair. 3 for 3. On to the next. For this combo, you start off by once again downlighting and then immediately sidelighting afterwards. Next, you execute a grounded aerial by jumping and chase dodging forward into a Sair. Then, you move with your opponent and hit a downlight when in range, then follow up with a sidelight. Once the bot jumps, sidelight again, and then jump and Sair. Now that you're, hopefully, getting the hang of Hammer's grounded movement tech, let me show you a few dodge reads that will help you deal maximum damage in a short amount of time. For this combo, specialized for players who spot dodge, you start by chaining downlight and sidelight together. Next, when the bot spot dodges, you jump and chase dodge behind it and then Sair it in the opposite direction. Then you follow the bot, chaining stomp and sidelight again, and then finishing it with a dash jump dare. For this combo, specialized for players who dodge up, you start by downlighting your opponent, then jumping and fast falling immediately after the bot dodges, and then execute a recovery facing in the opposite direction. Then, as the bot is airborne, chase dodge diagonally down and then turn around and Sair the bot. Now, follow along with it and then downlight and sidelight again. As the bot dodges up a second time, jump, chase dodge forward, and recover it facing in the opposite direction. Finish the combo by turning around and daring as the bot is in the air. For this combo, specialized for players who dodge in, you start by inlighting and then dashing forward and sidelighting the bot, which is a true combo at white. Then, as the bot dodges in, catch them with a downlight sidelight combo and finish by dashing forward into inlight. For this combo, specialized for players who dodge away, start with the downlight sidelight combo. Then follow up with a grounded aerial Sair as the bot dodges away. Follow the bot for a short distance and finish with a downlight and a grounded recovery once in range. Okay, considering you've done all these combos correctly, it's safe to say that you are now an above average hammer player. And once again, I am proud of you. But now, I will teach you the Grapple Hammer's flashiest and most popular combos that will truly make you a threat on the weapon once mastered. These combos are the Russian Mafia, the V, and the Fangwild, and I will teach them in that order. So let's get straight to it. The Russian Mafia is one of the Grapple Hammer's most popular combos, not only because it's super satisfying to land, but also because it's deceptively simple to execute and master. Being a true combo in its entirety, it can serve as a mid-game damage builder or a late-game kill confirm. Either way, it's extremely effective. Here's how to do it. So, to begin with the Russian Mafia, you want to start by downlighting the bot. Then jump and chase dodge forward into a recovery. Move forward a small distance without jumping and turn around and dare the opponent once you're in range. See, the Russian Mafia is not that bad. It's actually really easy to do. But the V? That's where things get interesting. The V is another one of Hammer's hardest combos, named after the V shape it makes when executed. The V is essentially a Russian Mafia with extra steps, and its main purpose is to destroy the mental of other players. Even though the V is true when executed correctly, I advise you not to attempt this combo on a higher level player, because this combo takes all of your options away, and can easily end up with you getting destroyed if you miss just one move and get punished for it. Either way, here's how you do it. So, to begin with the V, you start by downlighting the bot. Then, while the bot is airborne, jump fast fall beneath the bot and recover facing in the opposite direction. Then, chase dodge diagonally beneath the bot and do another recovery facing in the opposite direction. Then, after the recovery hits, chase dodge straight ahead and pivot dare the bot. Have fun trying to get this right, and if you did already, then congratulations! Good luck getting the next one right. The Fangwild is by far the hardest yet most satisfying combo on the Grapple Hammer. The Fangwild is a combo that combines almost every move in Hammer's kit to execute correctly. What makes this combo so hard is not only because it's map specific, but it is location specific. It can only be hit on a certain spot, on a certain map, on a certain health, and with certain spacing. The Fangwild is almost rarely ever done online, even by pro players because of how demanding it is. And here's how to do it. So, to begin with the Fangwild, you start by downlighting the opponent. Then, while still facing forward, you jump and dare the opponent. As they bounce off the ceiling, you gravity cancel downlight, then chase dodge straight ahead and recover the opponent. Next, turn around and dare the opponent as they line up beneath you. And then you move forward slightly and execute another recovery. And then turn around and dare again. You then chase dodge diagonally up and recover them, and as they line up in front of you, you sare them. Did you do it? If you did, then holy shit. If you didn't, don't feel bad. It took me around 40 tries to get it right. But we've come to the end of the advanced combo and strength segment of this video. So the hard part is now over, and you can finally relax. In the next segment, I will be using a tier list to rank legends based on if they're fit for beginners, average, or experienced players. I will place the legends that I feel to be the most beginner friendly at the bottom of the tier list, but that does not mean they are bad, so please don't get offended. I will place the legends that I feel to be the hardest further at the top, but that does not mean they are good. The point of this segment is to give players an incentive on who they think they should play based on how much they know about Hammer. There will be a lot of explaining and background gameplay in this segment, so I recommend getting a snack, maybe a Snickers and a Coke, and enjoy what I have in store for you. Brawlhalla has a grand total of 10 Hammer legends, each of which have their own distinct advantages and disadvantages over their counterparts that make them stand out from the rest of the crowd. However, to a beginner, it can be a bit overwhelming to choose a legend that best suits their playstyle, and most will get frustrated because they believe they have chosen a character who is too boring or too hard. In this segment, I will be listing the difficulty of hammer legends from beginner to intermediate to higher skill in order to help you amass a broader understanding on who to use depending on how experienced you are on hammer. Keep in mind, this list is opinion-based and is not factual at all. All of the placements of these characters is entirely based on my experience, not that of other players. So, you are more than welcome to voice your opinion of who should be where in the comments. Just be aware that I really don't care. Starting with the beginner legends, which will be placed in one of the bottom 2 tiers, we have the class of hammer legends that are especially made for newer players, having a stat spread and a sig kit that makes them more offensive and allows players to learn the flow of the Grapple Hammer whilst also having fun with the weapon. These legends have the least amount of cons compared to their pros, and are the legends I consider to be the easiest to play. And the first legend that belongs in this category is, without a doubt in my mind, Cassidy. Cassidy is a legend that I believe is fit for a player that's just starting to learn hammer. Her hammer is the fastest in the game, currently at 9 dexterity, allowing her to easily be able to recover from whipped attacks with ease, giving the player a much needed edge over the opponent. She has access to the most hammer combos of any legend thanks to her dexterity, and her hammer signatures are arguably the best of any hammer legend, able to extend her combos further with a satisfying feel of fluidity whilst also doing massive damage. She is perfect for a player who is just learning the ropes and getting used to the timing and execution of most hammer combos without getting punished too badly in return. Keep in mind though, her defense is fairly low, and although she can deal a huge amount of damage in a short time, it is very possible for you to take a huge amount of damage if you're too reckless, which earns her her place in the very bottom of the tier list as the easiest legend to play. Who I put up there next to her should be a no-brainer for most of you. Yumiko is another legend that I believe is perfect for someone in the beginner stage, and she more than deserves her spot as the most unique hammer legend in the game. Much like Cassidy, she has high dexterity and extremely quick and powerful signatures enhancing her hammer kit, making her strings more fluid and satisfying to land. Unlike most hammer legends, however, she is probably the only hammer legend able to take on a more defensive style thanks to her down sig. Because of it, she can slow down and speed up the game at will by keeping her opponent from approaching recklessly, and she can very easily make an aggressive player second guess their next move. She is one of a few hammer legends with a signature that can set you up for a reliable true combo finisher or a lengthy string depending on the health value the opponent is at. But because she has lower than average attack and defense for a hammer character, she requires a decent amount of attention to play effectively. You would have to output a lot of combos and be fairly evasive to make this legend really worth it. Don't let her difficulty scare you though, as she is more than capable of ending stocks rather quickly due to hammer's nature. Thus, she earns her spot right next to Cassidy. The legend I rank higher than them may surprise some of you. Thor is the final and hardest beginner legend on this list, with a balanced stat spread favoring defense and a sig kit that is extremely devastating for what it seems. He is the perfect hammer legend for a player who needs a little extra defense to fall back on, as well as amazing hammer signatures that can shift the game in your favor in an instant. Having lower dex for her hammer character, he is still a powerhouse despite his lower speed and has no problem building up damage via combos and signatures. Able to survive more hits than you think, Thor is absolutely a character built to withstand a long game and can even let you survive the most devastating attacks and still come out on top. Being a little harder to play than Cassidy and Yumiko, I recommend you play this character if you understand the timing of hammer a little more, and are comfortable in having lower dex than most legends. For these reasons, he earns his spot right in the easy tier, above Yumiko and Cassidy. In the next 2 tiers, we get to the intermediate, which are legends that are a bit harder to play for various reasons. These hammer legends are made for players with a better general understanding of the Grapple Hammer. They are much slower than your average legends, having lower speed and or dex with signatures that are harder to land. Their pros and cons are fairly balanced, but a steady and experienced hand is required to bring out the max potential in these legends. The first legend that fits this category is Bodvar. Bodvar is the golden standard of what a balanced hammer character looks and feels like. With a stat spread that is in favor of no specific stat, Bodvar offers the most honest feel of a hammer legend without adding any extra gimmicks to save the player, making him the perfect fit for someone whose hammer is or above average. He has access to a wide array of signatures that are incredibly hard to dodge thanks to their larger than life hitboxing, but even though his signature kit is extremely powerful, it is on the slower side, meaning that the player would have to be more reliant on raw skill than just scoring a cheeky KO by spamming. Being the most balanced hammer legend on this list, he fits right into his designated tier. And the next legend shares many of his strengths but has a few more weaknesses. Kor is a legend that I believe is as effective as Bodvar, but slightly harder than him in a few ways. With a stat spread that favors attack and defense over speed and dex, Kor is the perfect legend for a defensive hammer player, and has the Sig kit and stat spread that challenge higher defense or attack legends. He is a bit harder to play because of his below average speed and dex, and the fact that his down Sig is borderline useless. Kor is another legend that relies on raw skill rather than brainless Sig spamming, and his Sigs are not nearly fast enough to support that kind of playstyle. Kor's Sigs are more like combo finishers than combo extenders, so a hammer player playing Kor should know how to start a decent string and finish with a signature for maximum output. You have to have some skill to play Kor, which is why I placed him in this tier. However, the next legend requires a lot more brain power than expected. Sentinel is what I consider to be the most flexible hammer legend in the game, in terms of playstyle, not stat spread. When it comes to his stats, he is among the weaker hammer legends favoring speed and defense, which makes him able to support a defensive and aggressive playstyle without many drawbacks. His Sigs are a prime example of this, with his side Sig being a lunge forward that covers most of the area in front of him, and his down Sig being a passive signature that makes him take a step back, and his in Sig is more of an equalizer. Sentinel is a legend built for a player who knows when to engage and disengage effectively with hammer, whilst offering the speed and defense to do so. A player playing this character must absolutely understand how to play hammer in neutral, as Sentinel is at his strongest when the opponent fails to adapt to his ever-changing playstyle. Because of his more technical and advanced playstyle, he earns his spot as the hardest intermediate legend. The legend above him may confuse some of you, but believe me when I say she is harder than she looks. Scarlet is, in my opinion, the hardest intermediate legend, and people only play her because of one YouTuber. Scarlet is tied with Teros as the strongest hammer legend in the game, and she has a lot of really good and powerful signatures at her disposal. I would say her Sig kit favors aggressive play, but her low defense begs to differ, and her speed would rather not say anything. She is a legend who is built for being deceptively strong, and well, that's it. Scarlet teeters on the edge of being a glass cannon legend, and is not built for the long game at all. She has fairly low speed and dex, and if you don't know what you're doing, you will get bodied just as hard as the person you're bodying if you're not careful. Scarlet is the hallmark of a delicate balance between passive and aggressive play. Go too hard on one playstyle and you'll lose a lot faster than you think. Her surprisingly complicated playstyle is what makes her harder than most legends. So only play her if you know how to balance out doing huge damage in short bursts with a slice of passiveness. And that's it for the intermediates. Now we'll move to the final two tiers, that house the hardest hammer legends in the game. These hammer legends are made for players who understand the Grapple Hammer in and out. Being the hardest hammer legends to play due to having extremely low dex and or speed, these legends have little to no gimmicks and requires the most attention from players to truly make them as effective as possible. Raw aggressive play will get you nowhere with these characters, and you must know how to play neutral and capitalize off of any hit you may land. These legends only reward the players who don't need to rely on stats or Sigs to absolutely demolish their opponent. And the first legend that belongs in this tier is the GOAT himself. Teros is the strongest and most efficient hammer legend in the game by a long shot. That is, if you're not afraid to run 2 dexterity. Even though Teros houses the most devastating signatures and the speed and power to make him an absolute menace in the rank queue, when I say he is slow, I mean every single miss is a threat to your existence. and he loses a good chunk of true combos that makes Hammer effective to begin with because of his low dex. His signatures are absolutely the strongest Hammer 6 for any Hammer legend, but also amongst the slowest, giving your opponent ample opportunity to punish you if you become too reckless. Playing Tails' Hammer means that you are comfortable with being patient and waiting for the perfect opportunity to do damage without being punished. The legend next to him is one that shares Tails' weaknesses and multiplies them by like 100. Nash is a Hammer legend that I despise the most, and for good reason. Trust me. His stat spread is very similar to Tails', whilst having a little less attack and even worse signatures. His SIGs, minus his down sig, are quick and powerful but have very little range. Combine that with his extremely low dex and the goofiest Hammer down sig in the game, and you have a Hammer legend whose kit is underwhelming and clunky at the very best. Don't get me wrong though, his signatures are not bad. In fact, hitting them at a certain angle can even create new opportunities for strings, but his low dex makes the windows to hit them extremely tight. So, play Nash if you are confident in your ability to play a worse Taros. And finally, the hardest Hammer... I'm not doing this, you already know who it is. Magyar is by far the hardest Hammer legend to play, and is considered by many to be the worst Hammer legend in the game. Despite Magyar being able to reach 10 defense, his attack power is only average, and his low speed and dex make him the slowest Hammer legend in Brawlhalla currently. Because of Magyar's low speed and dex, it is incredibly hard to get a string started with him, and you lose much needed frames for true combos, making them harder to hit. Not to mention, his SIG kit is not only slow, but awkward and reactable. And even if they do land, his attack power will not guarantee they will even die. Playing Magyar's Hammer demands your full attention and understanding of the weapon in its entirety. And, unless you have good movement, you should expect to take at least 1000 damage per game if you're playing at your best. Making Magyar's Hammer look fast and powerful means that you have mastered the Grapple Hammer, and you can pretty much play any character on this list with no issue. And that's it. That's all of the Hammer legends. So, I mean, I guess you've come to the end of this guide. I hope this guide was more than enough to help you on your journey to becoming a highly skilled Hammer player, and help you understand that the worst weapon in the game can still absolutely be a threat at all levels of play. It just depends on how you use it. The Grapple Hammer has been my favorite weapon for years, and making this video to teach it to you has been nothing short of a blast. I surprised myself at how much I knew, and I would be more than happy to make a guide for another weapon should you want me to. I know I may have over-explained some things, or made some segments go a little longer than anticipated, but keep in mind that this is my first time making a guide video like this. I'm always open to criticism for how I should do things for the next time, but keep it friendly and professional, because I'm still learning. If you enjoyed this video and learned something new today, be sure to leave a like and subscribe. It really helps the channel, and I very much appreciate the support. As always, I'll see you guys in the next one. GG's to all, and go show them motherfuckers how scary Hammer is. #HammerPlayers rise up!